Hopefully that just works. Welcome to Jhana on the Breath. I started off the last one of this with asking people how much they know about Jhana, and that's kind of important to do here as well. So, how much do you know about Jhana? So that I can sort of weave a bit better.
I've read Lee Brashington's book, so I've just mostly it's a theoretical knowledge. I've been something's happening in the kind of 50th minute of my meditation, and it's actually happening sooner and sooner that maybe sounds sort of like it. I've
Mm.
listened to Michael Taft talk about it, and I do some of the techniques and do get some kind of sensations that are very interesting and sometimes quite strong. So I can't differentiate. I don't know. I haven't felt like glowing happiness really. That hasn't been there. So that's one of the clues. And so I'm like, is this jhana? It's certainly something's going on. But so I couldn't identify what's happening, though theoretically I've read a bunch about it.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
Great. Lucy, how about you?
I have listened to Rob Burbia's John Retreats, uh, the John Retreat. I've done first and I think second Jhana. I was getting it consistently for a while, but now it's more like once a week.
Cool. Good. Good to know. Who wants to go next? Pell? How much do you know about Jhana? I know you dropped in just after the question.
Um, yeah, I know a lot about Jhana. Experientially, I feel like I've only gone to like first Jhana before.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Sam?
I know a lot about Jhana, and I've had a lot of experience with at least 8 of them.
Cool.
So yeah.
Oh, if you want to talk about the like after 8, there's some strange territory. I don't know how certain I am about what's there, but maybe I'll see if I cover that at the end.
How many are there? I thought there were only eight, but how
Right.
many are there?
So there's the 4 form jhanas, and then there are 4 formless jhanas, and then there's something called the Pure Land jhanas, which is very untalked about, and there's another. I think there's another 7 of them, but it's debatable as to whether they actually are or whether there's some other practice or something else. I about a month ago, 2 months ago, I was doing some practice, and then I suddenly dropped into something else, and I was like, "What on earth is this state? This isn't like the other stuff." And then I furiously looked things up, and I found there's actually more jhanas, which is unheard of because I always knew of the 4 and the 4, and then I fiddled with them for a couple days, and then I sort of fell back out of them, and it was gone forever. So I'm got this big question mark as to whether there are something interesting there to continue to return to, or whether there isn't. So um, that's like a bookmark of when my practice gets better again. I will go back there and see if they're real, or see if there was just a blip for a day, or see if I fell into something else that I didn't understand. Anyway, 4 form jhanas. That's where we're starting. Jhanas are states. States come and go. With some cultivation, we can invite these experiences in. Uh, Everyone basically said they're pretty experienced with the knowledge. The important thing to know is there's depth of jhana. So there's the monks. Then they can spend hours immersed in a jhana without sensation, without anything but jhana based experience. And that's kind of impressive, and that's their a super high bar for yes, it was real jhana. And then there's the shallow thing, which we're gonna do here because we're in conversation. So we're gonna notice the jhana factors and invite more of those flavors into our experience, and that's what we can do in conversation and along with being pointed out. So I'm gonna do the thing where I take myself to the jhana and I talk about how it feels, and you get to try it out and try to notice those qualities and bring them to your experience as well. Um, this is called a pointing out method. Plenty of plenty of methods use something like this as well. Um, so first jhana to begin. First jhana is called bliss. So the object to the ultimately the jhanas end up objectless, and we're going for the pure experience of bliss. But to help us in there, we're gonna go for the breath. So at the first half of the in breath, the breath sort of has a ramp upwards. So if I take a breath out, and then I go to breathe in, the first bit of the in-breath has like a little bit of an upbeat swing, and along with that upbeat swing has like an upwards movement of attention, an upwards movement of excitement. Things are getting more interesting as that upwards movement happens, and there's a quality of bliss along with that we're gonna. So if you watch a couple of cycles of the breath and you pay attention to what's going on that like first half of the in-breath, you'll be able to like ride it up a bit, and as I do, everything gets a little bit brighter in my visual field, and it doesn't actually change in color. It just like it moves up in a interestingness, brightness, some quality of interesting changes about it. So you can do that along with me. You can notice. I'm gonna check in with each of you and see if you can notice any qualities that are coming up of that like upwards movement. If you sort of, I said, open the faucet. So if you turn the tap on and let the energy like bubble up and like rise up and try and invite that in, you should be able to get a little bit of like first jhana, like excitement quality. And you can probably hear it in my voice that it's like, I sound more excited than I did like 3 minutes ago. Like it's here, it's happening. I'm jittery a bit. Like it's all kind of like uplift. Darren, do you notice quality, or can you invite a quality like that in? You're on mute. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, definitely, and that's something that is kind of with me always if I pay attention to it more and more. And I talked to Adi about that. There's definitely bubbling energy, and sometimes it sort of comes up quite quickly. I don't know if that's what that is, and it's shimmering, and sometimes it's not so pleasant. That's, and I can invoke it now for sure. And
Right.
yeah,
So turn it up. Add a little bit more in. We're trying to like, and the interesting thing about a collective practice is when you do it, other people will find it easy to find it as well. So feel free to do that, and it comes across through the voice as well. Like, oh, we're going that way. Okay, let's all ride the train together. And I mean, this applies to if you meet strangers and you like want to drag them through some jhana type experience. You can just kind of like modify your experience, and they'll start getting excited too, and you'll be like, great, I can motivate people. Lucy, can you pay attention to that first half of the breath? Do you get that sense of upwards
Yeah,
movement?
I can call up some PT. I feel like the spine straightening as I focus on the breath. Yeah.
Great. Is there anything else that you particularly notice about maybe the quality of the thoughts or the room or the awareness, or you could also say no?
No, not really. It's just a nice feeling in the body.
Good. Yep. Great. Nice feeling in the body. Sam, you're off mute. Can you pull in some first jhana qualities and notice them?
Feeling pleasant, energetic waves through my body and bubbly sensations. Yeah, mostly the pleasant, energetic waves going through my body and the energy.
I'm wondering if we can. I'm thinking about the way that comes across through your voice. If we can like turn it up a bit.
It's like from my head to my toes, I can feel pleasant, energetic waves.
Right. Okay. Good. So bringing in that's like, we need enough first jhana to then transition into second jhana as well. There's also sometimes people have weird things where they're like they're blocked in their first jhana, like they have something that's like it's not safe to feel good, or the last time I felt like I'm not allowed to feel nice, and so they sort of shut down their first jhana stuff. So just notice if there's anything like as a resistance coming up, that you can like put the resistance on pause, put it to the side if possible, and just let the good energy, like the warm, enjoyable sensation, let it in and let it rise up. I'm gonna check in with Pell as well.
Yeah, I feel the what it's like around my like nose, mouth, head area. It kind of reminds me of like sweetness in a way, like taking it from like a milk cake or something. It's mostly around like the nose area.
Nice.
Yeah, it feels okay. Feels good.
Right, and one thing you can do is you can spread it around the body, or spread it to more of the body if you can, and that'll help you like feel it in more places. Because even though we're going for the light jhanas, it doesn't hurt to try and get more of you in it. That'll help you notice more of it and help you keep it with greater ease, and also help you enjoy the jhanas more. I think Julian's just going to follow on for now. So since we all kind of got a sense of the first jhana, we can all just jump into second and see where we end up. So I put second jhana. We've got the start of the in-breath that's like very fast up, and then we got the second half of the in-breath where we're like rounding the top of the mountain. So my lungs start to fill up, and it's good. It's still warm and hot, but it's not as sharp. So the start of the in-breath, the first jhana, it's a lot more. That excitement can get irritating. It can still be exciting, even though I don't need more excitement. I'm already up the top of the mountain, and I don't need to be like jumping. I can just like hang out at the top of the mountain. And so for me, that feels like a warm, full feeling. Obviously, my lungs are full to go with it. My experience is more like of a broad sense, and second jhana is also called joy. So again, it's still up, but it's less sharp. It's this joyous sense of things. I'm like, what else can I comment on? There's like a filling or a rounding sense, and I keep doing this hand symbol with like putting my hands in like a ball or like a roundedness, like a big belly, like yes. So to check in with Darren, I guess. You're on.
I'm curious about a sensation that I feel later on, and if I do an hour sit, which is more what I do toward the 50-minute mark. Sometimes it'll feel like it's quite spacious and calm, and I'm super focused, and I'm wondering what the hell that is.
That's fifth.
That's fifth. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll get there. We'll go through 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll hit fifth, which is a spaciousness, and you'll be like, "Oh, this is familiar."
Right. Okay. And the spaciousness feels like it's something that I can hold with my mind, or that I sometimes struggle to hold, but it's something that is I'm keeping that alive, and it feels like a structure that I'm powering somehow.
That might be sixth, fifth or sixth, but we'll get there. Sixth. Okay. So fifth is boundless space, and sixth is boundless consciousness. So if it feels more thick and filled with things, it might even be sixth. You might be surprised, like that you've visited these places before.
Right. So in terms of second, I'm not sure the differentiation between still the bubbly feeling. It doesn't calm down in any kind of. I've read in Rashington you're supposed to focus on the happiness and let the kind of energetic thing kind of fade away, and I'm not. It's difficult to differentiate that for me anyway.
Right. So there's an instruction here. First is like irritating in the way that it has an upwards thing, and if you hang out in first long enough, you will find what's irritating, and then you'll be able to drop what's irritating and keep what isn't. And that's sort of how you'll tell the difference between the bubbling of like first and the like warmth of second.
Right. Okay. I'll keep it that. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure. Sam, you're off mute.
I feel it in the base of my skull, and there's the energy is showering over me, and there's an effortlessness, and there's just a joyful flavor to it, and there's an inner light that comes and goes.
Nice. You might want to do a quick body scan, or try and bring more of your body along with it. See if you can get more. You sort of described it showering over you, but not like coming through like all of your body. The more emotion we can get in the jhanas, the better.
Sort of starts from the base of the skull,
Right.
and that's where I feel like the energy coming from, but I can feel the whole body.
Great, good. That's it's useful to have more of the body there. But yeah, so interesting. You call it showering. So it's a good description. I want to check in on Pell. I'll go Pell.
Yeah, I feel like tuning into the full body level pointer in the first jhana. I just feel more of it all over my body. I guess it feels more like more relaxed. I just feel relaxed yet happy.
Right. So we could even turn up the heat on this one and be like, oh, it's quite warm. That's like, yeah, you know. But you got it. It's like, it's nice. Lucy.
This one feels kind of tingly for me, almost like electric, whereas the first is kind of more like being in a tanning bed.
Interesting.
But it's kind of like bouncing around. The little jolts of it. It's nice.
Interesting. So for you or for everyone really, at another time, if you sit in each of these for a while, they sort of settle down, which is if the electric quality may just like cool off a bit and
it's definitely calmer than the first.
Right. Okay. Some people seem to get like some psychological stuff caught at different jhanas. For example, I had one coming up to third. So third is called contentment, or various translations. But I had a thing where we're not allowed to relax or something. So deep in the back of my mind, and so going into third was like I have a lot of resistance at one point to like letting myself go, letting myself relax, letting myself calm down, and so I had to like stubbornly sit in third for a while all of that resistance like realized it's okay to relax sometimes, basically. And that's sort of useful for each of the jhanas. So in first jhana, we can have nice things like, geez, you wouldn't think it would be that hard to believe that, but sitting in first for long enough, and my brain was like, oh, maybe we can have nice things. Okay. And the same for second. They're like, oh, we get to enjoy what we have. Like there's like some more like enduring enjoyment quality where if I didn't think I could, then maybe I wouldn't want to hang out in second. So moving to third. Hey Julian, did you want to check in and see if you're in second? No, I reckon Julian's just listening. Oh, yep.
No, I just had to unlock my phone.
Oh, cool.
The state I'm in is fairly even. There's some slight tension in the base of the throat, but the surrounding is basically just even soothing. So there's like a node of tension, and it's surrounded by a wide spacious, with some very subtle boundary of the body.
Cool. That's got a whole mix of stuff in there. I'm gonna take us over to third, and you can join us if you like.
Good.
So third, like I said, contentment. It's more like a downwards ramp. So it's on the out breath. And the way so the start of the out breath, I've taken a deep breath in, and I take a deep breath out, and I go, ah. And it's that like, oh, I get to make a long sigh, I get to relax, I get to let go. But more specifically, I can take the energy, that flavor of the letting go, and I can like maintain that energy across multiple breath cycles. I'll still have to breathe in again, but I can like make sure I'm in a relaxing sense in between the breath cycles. And we're coming down from here, and so that instruction before of first to second, where first is irritating, if we sit in second for long enough, it'll be hot enough that the heat, it's still hot. It's it's a little bit hotter than it needs to be, and that can be a signal to transition to third. Like, we can actually like let go of the fire and follow this downhill ramp. Um, there's like I have like a dropping down. My voice tone has changed a bit. The like investment that I was putting in at first, like if I do a little bit at first, I'm like lifting up. I'm like enhancing and investing. In second, I'm like sitting in that hot energy, and in third, I'm like dropping it down, and able to just let it pass, let it be, let it do what it wants to do. So to check in with Darren, see what you have.
Yeah, there's a peaceful contentment that sort of started to,
Mm.
I don't know how to describe it, come in like fog almost. It was not energetic, it just slowly floated in. It was nice. A little bit of dullness. I kind of had a little hypnagogia, a few random thoughts that felt like they were coming from the dream space, but then I kind of chilled that out and got back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I
Cool.
mean, you're absolutely right. Sometimes I do this with people and they yawn. They're like, because, it's like relaxing. It's like sleeping. So, yeah. So there's a good point there to like pay attention, stay awake if you plan to be
Yeah.
in jhana. Otherwise, you might accidentally end up asleep. At some point, there's like a crossing over. Like I'm on the downward side of relaxing, and I'm like I'm still holding this like be relaxed, be relaxed, be relaxed, but I'm already like I'm not asleep. I'm still awake, um, and so I am able to stay with it even though it's like that, and it's not about to pull me to sleep. Um, Gonna check with Sam.
Yeah, so this one I feel on the periphery of my body
Mm-hmm.
and internally.
Hmm.
I feel these really nice pulses. Um,
Hmm.
and it's much more centered. It's centered feeling,
Nice.
very calm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hmm. And yeah, like noticing that settling off of like, and all of our vocal tones have gone from like high to low. As I finish my sentence, I go from high to low. That's the shape of the jhana. Like, okay. Dropping off, settling down. Um, hmm. Gonna check in with Pel.
Yeah, I think it's taking like me a few breath cycles to settle down. I still feel like first, second jhana energies, I guess, like centered in my head and like making a kind of like a line down to like my heart area, uh, heart chakra area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still trying to settle into the relaxation more.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm still like in the first, second jhana zone.
Mm-hmm. Right. So if you can keep letting that drop, then it'll gradually become third jhana. My hunch is, and you don't actually have to answer this one. My hunch is, you've got some stuff here, like psychological stuff, saying it's not safe to relax or something. Because I can sort of hear it in the voice. There's still some tension there that's going like, we can't let go of this. We have to maintain vigilance for whatever life experience has taught us to that we can't let go or we can't relax. So that's okay. Everyone's got their stuff. And there's an interesting thing if you want to like practice hanging out in the jhanas. There's a quality of soothing that the jhanas can teach you, to in terms of like not resisting them and letting go of your stuff. There's definitely lots of psychological work that can be done through passing through the jhanas and letting those qualities happen. Obviously, there's a sense of I need to feel safe before I let go, and this is, something of relating to third jhana. If I don't feel safe, I'm not gonna be able to relax. My life has taught me don't relax. That's a bad idea, and so I'm just gonna have to not be able to really enjoy third jhana until I get that stuff sorted out, or until I really can relax, or trust myself that I can handle it, even though I am relaxed. And that's like work for the future. I did a lot of that myself, so that's life. I want to check on Lucy, see if we're relaxing into third jhana.
Yeah, it's more relaxed. I'm feeling calmer, cooler.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like my concentration has gotten better as I'm breathing. I'm feeling like almost like ripples of energy in my body.
Hmm. Right. Good. Um, hmm. There's yeah, the quality of distractions or the quality of stuff that will come up will change according to which jhana we're in. So if we are ramping up first jhana, we're gonna get it's gonna that energy is gonna like drop into all parts of our mind, and like things are gonna try and distract us quite loudly. Distraction's gonna be really there. But as we start to calm down, everything's coming now. All the thoughts, all the sensations, everything's sort of settling. So we're gonna see less distraction and, like you said, more concentration because there's less stuff getting in the way. That's also a measure of sort of where you are on the path. If as to like in the future, you'll be able to be in first jhana without distraction, without as many distracting thoughts, because we've already worked out how to get thoughts to calm down. And later on the path, like emotions won't be the distraction because we've already worked out how to get them, and then we'll be dealing with somatic stuff that the sensations in the body will be like we'll pick them up in first jhana and then calm them down in third, and we'll become equanimous to them in fourth, and then like we're onto very deep stuff in the mind that we can work through. Hey Julian, how do you feel about third jhana?
It feels the most similar to my own energy.
Yeah, I think I've
As
told,
a yeah.
I think I've talked to you
Just
before about
throughout
like
the day.
being a down regulator. Like, yes, I will maintain down regulation of all the people around me because I'm a chill guy.
Yeah, it's a balance point inside that I like to rest on.
Cool. Great. I mean, depends on whichever life you're living as to which one is the useful one for you. Like I said earlier, for Darren, maybe that like I can give a pep talk to the people around me. Maybe that one's gonna be really useful all the time. And to Julian, having the down regulation, that's gonna be handy. And then of course, fourth, the thing we're about to go towards is equanimity. So that's gonna be handy to everyone, and we can just like be flat, be neutral, be calm. Like shit's going on, but it's like I'm chill. So if we keep hanging out in third for a while, eventually the like I'm chill starts becoming an irritating force. I'm quieter than the thing that's saying let's be chill, and that's like a signal that there's still too much going on, and I can shift into fourth, into equanimity. So if I can drop that like I'm chill thing, and of course I place this on the out breath, on the end of the out breath. So we've come down the ramp, and then we're letting the rest of the breath out. So there's a practice called the last breath meditation. So here I am. I'm a grey old human, and I'm on my deathbed, and I'm like I'm done. Like this is my last breath. If there were things I'm still worried about, if there are things I'm still attached to, it's a bit late now because I'm dead. I'm dead at the end of this breath. So I'm gonna take a nice deep breath in, and anything that's still on my mind that's like, wait, we have to like. All I need to say is like, oh, I'm dead. That doesn't matter anymore. I can let it go. And I'm gonna like take a breath out and then follow the out breath. And obviously I'll get to the end of the out breath and there'll be a couple of things that didn't quite let go. So I'll do another breath, I'll breathe in, and then I'll let everything else out on the out breath. And as I sit in this empty space at the end of the out breath, it's flat, it's very equanimous. And I can just hang out here in this energetic quality of nothingness. And maybe the next breath will happen, but I can hang out in this like nothing going on space. Darren, how do you find equanimity here? Is it familiar?
For me, the out breath and the very bottom of the out breath is kind of the most interesting part of the cycle for me, just because sometimes it just stops and it really feels like there will be never a need to breathe again.
Mm-hmm.
And it relates to an early moment in my life years ago. Maybe, I don't know, I was 27 at the time. I'm 55 now. I was lying on the ground, and on an out breath, I accessed a very, very different, like it just everything. I went to a place of no time and lots of light, and I wasn't really, I didn't have a practice at all. I just was lying on the ground breathing. I have a performing arts background, so I've done a lot of body work, but it was, and so I'm always looking for that again, and it feels like the out breath is a door to a mystical universe that I haven't found again. But the out breath does feel really beautiful when it does, when it just stalls like that and seems like it could go out and out forever and it just stops. I really like that spot. So if that's the fourth, then bring it on. I like that a lot.
I got a hunch that you're talking about some of the later ones as well in that
Right.
experience
Yeah. I
of
mean,
like.
definitely, it was pretty crazy, and and I came out and I was weeping, and it was very strange. And I've always tried to go back, but I haven't been invited back there yet.
It's tricky because we want to go there, but we can't cling because when we cling, we're like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Have to like give up on ever getting there, and then it'll come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of like body work. So there's an ecstatic dance cycle where they have dances in like movements. So they'll do like 15 minutes that are like first jhana, and then 15 minutes like second, it's hot, and then 15 minutes of like cooling down, and then they'll lie on the floor for 15 minutes, and that'll like mimic the jhana cycle, and that'll be like, and everyone will have weird experiences as they lie on the floor, like, and that they've discovered the same thing. They run people through that.
Right.
And of course, you said performing arts. I'm guessing you had some sort of movement stuff going on, and then you all lied on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't in that context, but I had done enough of that so that just lying on the floor and melting away was what I was doing. Just, it was a Sunday morning in my apartment with my girlfriend. We were just lying there, and that happened. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's from fourth is when we drop into everything else. The platform for.
I'm just wondering if other people experience that phenomenon of the out breath just seeming to tail off and there be no need for an in breath at that point, and it's a very it's a bit surprising feeling. Like, will I ever have to breathe again, or am I going to suffocate here, or am I going to pass out? And it seems like Lee Brashington mentions that in Right Concentration, and he kind of cautions against it because it could disrupt if you suddenly inhale because you've been exhaling for so long. He just sort of he suggests, I think, keeping a little bit of a eye on it, so you are remembering to inhale even though it feels like you don't have to, just so you don't need to take a big gulp of breath in.
Yeah, there's if you build up a little bit of trust in your body will keep breathing itself, then you don't need to worry. But until you've built it up, like you said, there's like this fear thing that like, oh no, like some people can really drop into like, I'm about to die or something, and then they're like adrenaline spikes and they're back in first. They're like, oh, I'm here, rather than like, oh, okay. But there's also
For me, it's not I'm about to die; it's I'm about to have a mystical experience. Come on, let's make this happen.
Right. So you've got the like, I'm too attached to like what might happen here.
Yeah, for sure.
So there is a thing where if you just sit on the out breath, and then you let the next breath happen on its own, let the body breathe itself. I did a lot of reading on pranayama about getting that natural breath to be going. So I don't have to breathe. The natural breath breathes itself, and so I will be a witness, and the body will just do this incredibly peaceful breath. The next breath after I successfully breathe out. Don't try not to breathe. Don't try to breathe. Just let everything go, and then the next breath is this beautiful empty breath. And it's very relaxed. Can like really drop into a beautiful state from there. I want to check with Sam.
Thanks.
Sam, how do you find equanimity?
I notice mostly just quiet. Feels like my body is submerged underwater or in the bottom of a deep well. And
Nice.
the edges of my body I can't really feel very much.
Nice.
It's very peaceful.
Good. Peaceful is good. The deep well is also a handy thing. If you're ever not equanimous enough, you can just drop yourself down a deeper well. You just fall down into like the depths a little bit more, and the mind can go a little bit more silent, and the body just like settles down. So it's a useful like mind exercise to have access to a well that can go deeper, or the ocean, drop deeper into the ocean and be a bit more calm. I want to check on Pell. See how you find equanimity here.
The energy is like, I guess, super, like, my Jhana Lite, or for my head, visualizing myself.
Oh, you're a bit muffled. Can you try and move the microphone or something?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Go ahead.
How about now?
Oh, that's way better.
Okay, cool. Yeah, what I was gonna say, I feel somber. I've been using like that death metaphor, imagining myself dying, and I think that's helping me get to that place. But yeah, I feel like I need more practice, because I feel like I still feel like the first, second jhana energies, like in my torso and my face.
Right. I mean, the mind does this thing where if it likes them, it sort of clings onto them. So if you give yourself a bunch of time in them, then you'll be like, oh, I love them. I can have them anytime I like, but I don't have to cling to them right now while I'm trying to do the other ones. Yeah. Hey, Lucy, how's equanimity for you?
I feel heavy. My breath has slowed down, and it's a lot shallower. It's also a lot more effort to talk, I feel like. It's very calm.
Yeah. There's also like, if I tried to ruffle your feathers, it's gonna be difficult. You'll be like, the heaviness is keeping you like chill.
Definitely.
Officially, equanimity doesn't have heaviness in it, but heaviness is a quality that's helping you stay there. So like, good. I want to check with Julian, and then I'll have a quick check-in with Josine.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, the feeling is like the density of experience on my side is heavier or denser, but it's not necessarily like solid. So, but it's like a very safe space.
Nice.
Safety is a pretty good word to describe the feeling it induces. So,
Good.
yeah.
No ups, no downs, just sort of equanimous. Yeah. Good. I want to check in with Josine. I don't know.
Well,
Wait.
I catched the tail end of this, so I missed whatever we were talking about.
All right, that's cool. We're about to go into the formless jhanas, so you can play along with the formless jhanas if you like. So the requirement for the formless jhanas is that you have enough equanimity that sort of you can follow the instructions and head into them. We're all chill enough. If you're in the middle of a breakdown, maybe you wouldn't be able to just drop into the formless jhanas. But we're pretty quiet. We're pretty able to take the instructions and hang out in the. So heading on to fifth. Fifth is called boundless space. And so for Darren, we're gonna say, no one else is on video, so I'm picking on you. Can you put your attention on the wall behind you? So like grab the space back there. Right, and while we're at it, we're gonna grab the walls on the left and the right. And while you got that, you got the floor and the ceiling as well. And then lastly, the sixth wall, the one in front of you. So you sort of got this like bubble of space. Now this isn't boundless space yet because it's only a room, but you can have your eyes open as well while you're doing this. But you're holding this space of the room, and then there's another shift to go boundless. So beyond the space of the walls, like beyond. And then if you notice the size of the space in your awareness, if you ever find a boundary, try and step beyond it, just one step or a little bit beyond, and just go a little further. And again, you'll find a boundary, and you're like, no, I'm boundless. I'm gonna go beyond. And again, there'll be more. Again, we've hit a boundary, and we're gonna go. Okay, no, we want to go even further. Clearly, the mind likes to put a bound on things or something. But there's some sense of permission to access the spaciousness, and a spaciousness that keeps going. And yeah, so there is a movement of continuing to open the spaciousness, especially when we're dealing with a sense of wanting to contract or something. Sometimes the mind's like, they're scared of boundlessness, or they're surprised by it, and they just like try and recontract. So if you have a habit of like double checking, like, how boundless am I in this moment, you'll open up and more often be open to more space and more capacity. So I want to start with Darren. How do you find that?
Yeah, I mean, you referenced the experience that I had for when I'm in the 50th minute of meditating. There's hints of that, but the difference is quite profound. Like, it really, I don't even know how to describe it, but it feels like I'm in a different place, and there's tons of space, and my concentration is laser sharp. That's not obviously happening here right now, but I can kind of get slight hints of the spaciousness. Yeah, but I really love it when it happens. It's pretty amazing.
You might like a slightly different instruction. So usually we situate our awareness like behind our eyes, like sort of we're here. I'm over here. So you might like to just shift that back, like take it back there and hang out in the space back there instead.
Well, one thing that sort of that will precede that feeling that I just described is a really, I'm and I mentioned this to Adi, not this week but the week before, that I cannot differentiate. I can, but what starts to happen is that where my head, feet, and hands are, it becomes quite indeterminate. It's just one. I am one space, and the difference between where my face is, where my hand is, where my feet are, I feel them all equally, as opposed to normally my face and my hands seem to be predominant. But in this, the thing that precedes it is this other feeling, and then I get to whatever that spaciousness is. That's quite nice.
Yep.
So sometimes, and I follow Loch Kelly and sort of trying to drop into my chest as if that's the center of my awareness, as opposed to my face and head, which is kind of normally how I'm operating. And it seems to relate to that kind of Loch Kelly's kind of approach to things a little bit.
So there is a description from Reggie Ray to descend, so to go from where we are in our heads, like drop into the chest or the body, and then expand outwards. And there's this cool phenomena where there's one spaciousness outside and then another one inside. And as you expand out on the interior space, you can find a boundlessness inside the body as well, where as I try and like reach out, I don't really find an edge or a boundary. The skin is there, but it's not really quite the boundary. There's in fact a spaciousness as well on the inside, and that's a curious experience too. So somewhere between that one and this one, there's a deepening and opening, a widening.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna check on Pell. See how you're going.
Yeah, I don't think I got it. I think I feel spaciousness, but I don't know if I'm just making it up or not. But yeah, more practice.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's some like clue I can give you to like do a little bit more, or like, oh yeah, I know what I can suggest. So most people will have just like a fixed experience of spaciousness already. So either they're already set on their body, or they're already set like in the whole room. So one thing that everyone can try while we're at it is to try and bring the spaciousness back to the body. So close it in from the room all the way back into the body, and maybe do that just in case there's a little bit more left out there. Do that like a couple times, and then try again. Try and put it back out there on the room. and that can be kind of surprising, especially if I talked to someone once who had a like narcissist of a father, and she said she always had this vigilance for like, is he going to do something again? And so her vigilance was way out there. And as soon as she pulled it back into the body, she like burst into tears. That she was like, "Oh, what a relief! I get to like put it down for a moment." And then she put it back out there, and she was like, "Oh, I can hold this without the anxiousness that used to come with having the space." So that's an interesting thing to try, to like contract it and then like expand back out. I don't know if that gives you more to work with.
Yeah. I actually have to go too.
Cool.
Thank you for the lesson.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Good luck. Gonna check on Lucy.
Yeah, this one's kind of tricky. It keeps like contracting back as I push out. But I am getting like a sense of almost like my body is evaporating, or like my limbs are stretching, or my body is shrinking. I don't know if those are correct, but
yeah, that's all
what I'm getting.
related phenomena. I get the sense you sound like floaty or something, like floatiness.
Yes, a little bit.
Right. Well, that's, we're in space, we're floating around. It can be a bit uncomfortable in the way that it's ungrounding, because there's all this floatiness, and some people can like be uncomfortable with it. But if you expand out and hang out in the floatiness, you will spend a little bit of time, and then you'll start to make sense of it, and then it's like less frustratingly floaty and more like just how it is. I guess you can also do it with your eyes open, and then you can see the space around you, and even though there's some floatiness, you can stay grounded, which can be helpful. What we're doing here is like a pure mind thing. So the way we might be like, I could access spaciousness, therefore I have magical powers. Like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to make any like epistemic conclusions. We don't want to claim any metaphysics here. We just want to like know that there's a part of the mind that does this thing, without really being all like, I'm a cooler person because I can access these jhanas, or I have skills because, or I am more advanced as a meditator because I can do it and someone else hasn't, because I know what I'm talking about and someone else doesn't. Like, yeah, it's just a phenomena. Julian, how do you find your spaciousness?
It's something that is presenting a lot of needing to be upkept and like well kept. Like you mentioned, my awareness isn't fully attentive to the whole hemisphere, or the whole sphere. Parts of it seem to contract when attention, say, is biased to the left hemisphere. So I have to return, maybe the right hemisphere would like kind of fallen or shrunken a little bit, so sort of spin my awareness to the other side and sort of expand then. And then when I do the right hemisphere, then the left one kind of contracts a little bit. And so there's this keeping up of it. But it seems like I can actually keep the sense there. But it's just, I guess I just need to practice more.
Yeah.
And it's not complete.
Darren?
I'm just curious, how do you know, or how do you alternate, and how do you know you're alternating between the hemispheres?
I don't think he means hemispheres of his brain. He means that side and this side of the space out there. Right, Julian?
Correct.
Yeah. He's talking about, like, this is easier than that. Like, in the spaciousness, for some reason. Yeah, otherwise we could get in a whole argument of, like, left brain, right brain, and the, like, logical or whatever.
It's this isn't a theory I'm coming up with. It's just trying to feel the space and sensing, oh, this side is less spacious, it's more contracted, but it's beyond the bot. It's beyond what it was at the beginning. So it's actually wider, but it's limited. Like, yeah.
You can do like Loch Kelly stuff, and throughout the day you can just visit the spaciousness and check in and see if it's still there, or see if you still have access. That's definitely a practice that can enable more spaciousness throughout the day. the other thing is, I said earlier, I'm not sure if you were here. If you sit in each of the jhanas for 3 hours, you sort of get used to having them there or having access to them, and your mind gets used to like, oh, that's how it is. So if you have some stuff hanging around there and you just hang out with it for a while, it'll probably clear up and settle, and you'll like just it'll be accessible. So
That makes good
definitely do
sense.
that. Like sit around in it and be like, okay, I'm just gonna observe the spaciousness for a while, and you'll get used to it. It gets easier to access. Gets more
Would you
ordinary.
say
Hmm?
if there's this effort being applied to
Mm.
sustaining this expanded experience, would you say to rather relax the effort and try to more effortlessly observe, or would you say no, that effort's fine as long as it's expanding more and more?
Right. That was I was like I have a third point and then I forgot it. So with effort, there's a way to access the space in an effortful way, and there's a way to just do it without the effort. So if you drop all effort and then just check if the space is still there, you'll probably be able to access the space without being effortful. And if you notice you're being effortful again, just drop it, let go, and then be like, is it still there? And you'll again probably notice it's still there, but without the effort. Um, Rather than like trying to
Okay.
reach for the space. If I try and cling to it, then like I burn a lot of energy trying to like be holding on to it, and obviously my space is filled with this clinging. Um, so yeah, if you notice the effort, just drop all effort, and then just check like we did, like we had the boundary, and then we check beyond the boundary. Just like check what's out there, and then there might be less effort out there. Um, yeah. I think we should move on
Yeah.
to sixth. So sixth is boundless consciousness. It's called boundless consciousness, and it's known in a few ways. So from boundless space, noting that there is spaciousness everywhere. What we can do is we can shift to noticing that we are in fact observing the space everywhere, and that's a shift from spaciousness to consciousness. So surely, if there is space everywhere, there is consciousness everywhere to observe the space. And so another description is to go to the base of boundless space. So it's like we're doing through layers of the mind. So we can see all the space, and then we go down a layer, and then we can see all the consciousness. So when I do this, for me, the air goes like thick. Like there's a sense of like aliveness everywhere. Like I'm swimming in a sense of consciousness everywhere. There is another description, which is we usually keep the consciousness inside our body and like the boundary of our skin to like the outside world. And so I'm in here and everything else is out there. So what I can do is I can take that boundary and I can expand out from my skin out to the room, and maybe out to like my kinesthetic, how far I can reach first, and then like push it out all the way to the room. And then there's this sense of me, I am the room, like the whole room is my consciousness, which is and then of course beyond the walls to boundlessness, to hang out in this consciousness. Darren, how do you find that?
Yeah, that seems to be getting beyond my level of expertise. I'm not sure what that should feel like. Can I ask why are the first four called form jhanas and these second
Yes.
formless? What form are we talking about?
Right. So form, as in you'll feel them with the body, the first four, and as we feel bliss, we feel it like it can bubble up all through the sensations in the body. Whereas the second
Okay,
four are more about the mind, or a layer of the
right,
mind that is the substrate on which other things happen. And so the
right.
spaciousness is sort of independent of the body, or the sense of the spacey space. It's no longer to do with the physical. It's to do with some quality of open-mindedness, sense of open-mindedness,
Right.
and therefore it's not really about the physical world. Like, if I want spaciousness, or if I want bliss, I can go and like search for it in things, like the delicious food that really brings me bliss and joy. But I really can't find spaciousness in material anymore. I can find spaciousness in new ideas, sort of thing. Like it's like to go find or spaciousness out in nature. It's an experience of the mind rather than a thing that I can fulfill from, like you said, you were lying on the floor and like you dropped into something. You didn't like taste true bliss when you ate an ice cream or something. And so that's the form and the formless. It's more about the mind.
Thanks.
I mean, we can try, Darren. Outside the body, if you can call up the spaciousness, and notice inside the body there's something of a quality of consciousness here, that is separate to the outside stuff, or different to the outside stuff. And obviously, nope, not finding it. Just not finding it.
Yeah, it's very subtle, I think. I'm not sure what to look for.
Okay, yeah, so there is another aspect here, which is as you hold like a spaciousness sense, you can notice that I, as another human, am here with you, and you can notice that I seem to be more conscious than the air. So there's something going on here in this space, in this person, that is different to in the air space, and in that sense, there's more consciousness here, or you can sense a consciousness here that isn't like around me, isn't around you, and in that sense, I have a consciousness, or I am more consciousness than what else is there. And so there's a difference to the space, and I'm somehow feeling the space differently. So if you can notice, like, if you can, look at me, perceive me, or pay attention to the consciousness here, maybe you can try and start noticing that in other places as well.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, sure, okay. Gonna check in with Lucy.
I think I had it for a second. I started laughing. I don't know if that's normal. So I had trouble getting it, and then I could kind of get like a glimmer of my consciousness being like in a point somewhere outside my body, and then I just tried to make it fill the room, and then just for like a split second I felt it, and now it's gone again. It was cool though.
Nice. I think that so what I found when I did a bunch of sitting in each of the jhanas for hours at a time is that I had some psychological crap at number 6, where somehow the existence of other people and other consciousnesses and the way they can influence me or be angry at me made it like difficult to hang out at 6th. So the fact that there are mean people out there like stresses me out in some sense, and I can't just hang out at 6th because my mind goes like, no, there's something out there or something. I'm suddenly present to some resistance to just being okay with consciousness being there. And I suspect that a lot of people have some sort of psychological crap that's like getting in their way. And like you said, you started laughing, like there was a glimpse, and then you burst into laughter or something. I wonder if it's a good thing, but maybe you're not allowed it or something. Plenty of people have that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Yeah. Sometimes religious collectives can have this like exciting broad consciousness experience to them, and then we're not really allowed to get in touch with it in the future. Maybe I had it as a little kid in a moment, and then I was like, oh, that's nice, and then it was like, no, I can't have that or something, or like, and so I've shut myself down. And anyway, if you sit in it, or if you try and cultivate a little bit, it opens up more, and then you can have access to this really cool thing over there in boundless consciousness. Gonna check on Julian, who needs to unlock his phone before he can unmute.
Yep.
What do you find in boundless consciousness?
Well, spaciousness is there, and it's clear that there's something that's conscious of the spaciousness, but it's not adopting the quality of dimensionality.
Sure.
So.
I actually had a hunch, Julian, that you had already gone, like you skipped 5th and you went into 6th when you were talking about the things that were filling, like the left and the right side of the spaciousness. And in that sense, there's a way to get pure space without anything in it, and then maybe you've already jumped into sixth over there with like there's more on the left than the right. There's something going on with mixing up fifth and sixth, which maybe you got to play around with and find the difference. Boundless spaciousness versus boundless consciousness.
It still feels there's a sense of it being thicker or dense isn't there. Like the knowing quality isn't necessarily there, but there's a knowing of spaciousness. Like there's this perception of that there is now space held in awareness. But it's not animated with consciousness, it doesn't seem. But I'll look into that.
Yeah. Play around with it, see what you notice. And again, sit in it for a while, and you will learn how it changes or how it is. And how, I learned a whole bunch of how I'm influenced when I think that other people are conscious. And they're like, they can be offended by me. Oh no, I have all this responsibility to care for them and stuff like that. Like, oh, what a mess. Gonna check on Josine. I know I missed you in fifth, but how are you finding it?
Initially, when I just plopped in, it was like, I felt fear. It was a lot of disgust. I don't know why. It felt like you had a ball and chained to your leg. Chained to your body. But you just keep on, but the awareness was lighter and lighter, sort of expand out. But the body was sort of like this, like, come back in, don't you go away, get your ass right back in. That's what it feels like. And then after a while, that sort of went away, and then equanimity arised.
Yep. A lot of people.
I don't know. It was I'm feeling fantastic now for whatever reason.
Great. Perfect. Good. You should feel fantastic. Everyone should feel fantastic all the time. My guess is that you had some stuff like anything like I'm afraid of the unknown, or I'm fearful of too much space because I've never met it before, and you powered through it real quick, and then you were like, oh, I can just have the space without the fear of it. And of course, some people will have more of that, and some people will have less of that.
Yeah. Do you think you ever because I used to do a lot of shamatha, especially from like the Tibetan side of the instructions, whereas we're sort of like direct your awareness to being who is aware. It sort of feels like that sort of practice to me.
Right. So
this is.
Yep.
Is there something like similar to it? I don't know. If you feel sort of like that, especially. Like the instruction that the very typical instruction is just let go, and once the mind quiets, direct your awareness to the one who's been aware. It feels really like that as well.
Right. So chances are, what the mind will do is, as you turn towards the one that's being aware, it will start searching for it, and then you'll have this like expansion of space as you try and search all of experience for who is being aware. And you obviously, we're talking about no self, so you tend to not find it, and you get to experience the spaciousness. One way to think about three schools of Buddhism, Theravada, Mahayana, then Vajrayana, is actually this comes from Chögyam Trungpa, as a sequence. So each of the schools is concerned with one realization. So the first is impermanence, the second is the suffering, and the third is no self. And obviously some people hit this in different orders, but if you start with impermanence, then get to suffering, somewhere in the middle of the suffering path is when you sort of need the spaciousness in order to deal with the fact that there is suffering. I need the distance from it to like notice the suffering. And then heading into third path is when in order to search for self, or search and not find the self, we need all of awareness, including the spaciousness, to be present to our meditation while we like search for the self and come up without finding the self. There's a little bit of a complex thing that I'm still grappling with or playing around with, that you need a self before you can discover there is no self. And I suspect that a lot of people haven't been told, build a strong, healthy sense of self before you can dissolve it. I had this confusion on my path that I've never particularly had a very strong self, and so I've read all of this no self stuff, and it just didn't make any sense. And I'm leaning towards, I need to like have a stronger sense of self in order to like let it fall away. Or somehow I was there but didn't recognize the no self realization, and so if I become a strong self, then I can like dissolve it. But that's an interesting detail of the path. But yeah, obviously all of these paths interweave. Darren?
I'm gonna have to say goodbye. I've got to dip out.
Cool.
Thanks for
coming.
this, Elo. See you around.
Yep. See you.
Yeah,
you feel free to watch the video. The other video goes to the other two as well. Okay. And we're gonna keep going, so you can tune in after.
Okay.
See you.
Thank you. See you. Bye, everybody.
All right, let's jump on to, so we're at 6th, Boundless Consciousness. Let's jump on to 7th. So 7th is known as Nothingness, or also Boundless Nothingness, depending on which translation you use. Nothingness really doesn't have a bound, like a physical spatial dimension, so people tend to just call it Nothingness. And again, if you take the base of Boundless Consciousness, you get like the substrate below is just boundless nothingness, nothingness. It's all nothing. There's nothing. Nothingness is unremarkable. It's not a cool and novel sense of secret nothingness. It's the everyday, ordinary sense of nothing. You know, you have a mug and you pour it upside down and you empty it out and there is nothing in it. You can understand what I mean when I say there's nothing in it, even though we know there's air in it. You know, there's still something in it, but there's nothing in the sense of the glass of water. There's nothing in it. That is the quality of nothingness. It's not the like mysterious magical nothingness, but it's a substrate of nothingness. This one can also be quite scary when you some part of the mind may have been attached to the nature of reality or some object, or to seeing the permanence of something, and then you experience nothingness and you go, oh no, the thing that I liked is nothing, and then the mind can freak out a bit. Try not to freak out at nothingness. It was already there, but that doesn't change any of your previous experience about how much you cared about things. Fact is, underneath of everything there's an experience of nothingness. The other instruction is to go from boundless consciousness. If you notice the density of consciousnesses, you'll find it like more dense out there, and the center, like a donut shape, the center is less dense than the outer ring. So if you notice if you turn your attention towards that sense of density, you can notice there's like a nothingness quality there, and that can, if you can tune into nothingness, that's all it is. And again, hanging out in the jhanas for several hours gets you used to the nothingness. But I want to check in with Lucy and see how you find nothingness.
This one's tough. I'm not sure I'm getting this.
Sure.
I did get the consciousness again. I can't do the boundlessness and the consciousness at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I can kind of expand the consciousness. Yeah. And it feels very full. I don't know, maybe if I sat with this for like 20 minutes, I could solidify it a bit more.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think I'm getting it.
As we know, we had to go through all the earlier jhanas to like get the mind settled enough, in theory, to like really be able to, like, you know, if I'm looking for nothingness and stuff keeps happening, it's gonna be hard to find nothingness. Like, and so if you sat with it, you'll probably pull it up. Want to check on Julian. I also know that my ability to describe this one is a little bit lower. Julian?
Well, my mind's having this tendency of, as I direct my attention towards your description and finding sort of this deeper, lesser state, it has this sense of wanting to go back to what it what it knows is nicer because it intuits, there's nothing there. Why do I care? Why should I even why should I
Suddenly an
even
aversion
waste
to
my time?
nothingness. Yeah.
Well, it's not aversion. It's just well, it's pointless. It doesn't get it. I don't understand the utility yet.
Mm,
I
right.
want to understand it, but the mind is like, you know,
Mm,
just not interested.
mm. So there is a curious thing here that if it was just, if it just was nothing and there was no utility, why is there a resistance to hanging out there? And admittedly, I don't spend forever in nothingness anymore. I hung out there for a couple hours, and then I was like, well, that's interesting, and then I don't spend too much time in it, unless I can drop in if I'm in pain or something. I can just add some nothingness underneath it, and the pain is way more bearable when I realize that pain is filled with nothingness. Um, it's just a handy paintbrush to have available.
Yeah, I can see that's a good excuse to go in there.
Hmm. Right, and it can be
Yeah,
very
I think I'll
freeing to visit some nothingness. Hmm?
I think if I have the right fuel, like I have the right understanding, I think my consciousness can do it.
Hmm?
But yeah, like I mentioned, that's kind of for some reason feels always like some prereq.
Hmm.
But I think I'm understanding it a little more now. So thanks.
Hmm. This is it's worth noting that there's a little bit of the first precept of first fetter of doubt here. Why should I go to nothingness? That's a doubting quality. And obviously, by all means, if you don't know why you should go, ask that question, because there's no reason to believe there's anything useful there unless you believe there's something useful there. And once you do, then you can suddenly we're oh, what's this nothingness thing? It's worth exploring, investigating, learning about. But I know that you are further
I
down the
agree.
path, and so it's neat to. It's always I find it kind of exciting when suddenly I find new doubt, because I'm like, what? I thought I dealt with doubt 3 paths ago, ages ago when I started this journey. Why am I still in doubt? But it's a little bit of doubt maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the sense is you're handing me the most unremarkable thing you could fathom,
Right.
and it's just like, well, that's not a. I mean, okay. Uh, no, you're inspiring me to be more open-minded. So that's a good thing. I think I'm needed to work on, and this is a excellent object for that.
You're right that it's unremarkable. It really is. And also, it's a quality of the mind. It's the quality of the nature of reality to be unremarkable. We spend all this time thinking there are world secrets and universes and whatever else over in whatever version of imagination that we're told. And here is a unremarkable piece of nothingness that kind of takes some getting used to because of how boring it is and ordinary and nothing it is. Confrontingly empty of things.
I mean, at least boredom is a little bit interesting.
Right. So we need the boredom, the nothingness without the boredom as well. The boredom is just an
Yeah,
aversion, right? No, we want to meet
yeah,
nothingness without a boredom. We need to evoke some more interest in ourselves to counterbalance the boredom so that we can just be oh, you mean that kind of nothingness?
yes, yeah.
Mm. Anyway, I feel like the last couple minutes have been a navigating, avoid the boredom, too much interest makes something else appear, we gotta find the sweet spot, which is, the heart of pointing out is that I'm here to be look left, look right, or try this, try that.
No, it does feel that way.
Mm.
It does feel that way.
Mm. Gonna check on Josine. How do you find nothingness?
I feel a lot of equanimity right now. I don't know why. I just feel really, I won't say hunkered down, but more like floating through. If that, I guess, I see what you mean by floating through space. I guess it's just sort of the type of feeling, just a lot of equanimity just popping out. I'm not sure from where, but yeah, I'm kind of surprised, really.
Yeah, if you've never had access to space and suddenly there's a bunch more space, chances are bits of your mind were like kind of cramped, and then suddenly they're like, oh, we don't need to be cramped anymore. There's just a bunch of neutrality here. Having access to the space can be really handy.
Yes.
And then obviously some of that space should have nothing in it, right? Nothing going on just quite yet. Again, I mean, there's some quality of the mind that is just nothingness, okay? I'm going to check back in with Lucy again, see if you found some more nothingness.
So I was playing with the expanded consciousness, and then trying to focus on the center, like you said, and I kind of did find there's less density, and I tried to expand that, and I did get this like blankness. I don't know if that's it, but I did get it a little bit.
Yep.
It was interesting.
There's definitely some relationship to blankness. Noting, of course, that blankness feels like it's sort of filled, and then now you're blocked by a bunch of blankness or something, which there's just a lot of blankness here. Be aware of the closeness of blankness to like dissociation, and then like, oh, I don't have access to anything, right? Because I met my blankness. So feel free to drop the blankness as we head into 8th jhana, or be aware of we've called something's come along because we access the nothingness, something of a blankness. Keep an eye on that one. 7th to 8th. Okay, so 7th we're in boundless nothingness, and 8th goes by a couple of names. The two names that I use are neither perception nor non-perception, and not nothing and not something. And these are weird names, and hopefully the shift to nothingness has brought us to noticing the ordinary nature of what we're looking for, and the all-pervasive sort of sense of it's so easy to have something and then have nothing, and there is nothing sort of everywhere as a quality of the mind. So what we're looking for here, it's the line between perceiving something and not perceiving something. So if I have this object, I'm like, it's a juggling ball object, I have it, right? If I don't have it, I also don't have it. But what is the in-between state between having and not having? Well, if I move it really quick, it kind of goes blurry on screen, which is kind of cool. And if I point through it, there's something going on where it's kind of half there and half not. But more specifically, let's take a different one. If you close your eyes, you will notice the background, and you'll notice white thingies. And there's definitely not nothing at all there because there's white thingy-majiggies. But there's also not a something there because the white thingy-majigs don't form a something, they're just this fuzz. And so there's this experience of we're not perceiving something, but we're not perceiving something. There's some in-between place where we can't quite make it out, but there's definitely not something either. So that's in the visual field. And the same would apply if we turn on a radio and we go to a channel and then we go one step off the channel, one frequency away, and you'll get zzz, bits of voice and then bits of buzz, and you won't be quite certain what the voice is saying, but it's definitely there's not no sound, it's not nothing, but there also isn't something either. There's this in-between thing. And the same goes for, there's one on every sense, so you can get the sense of smell, the sense of taste, you can get a sense of the body. You can very briefly scan the body for everything that is hot, and then you can scan the body for everything that is cold, and then you can be uncertain about where's the hot and where's the cold, and you can get the fuzz sense of like what isn't and isn't in the body. So we're hanging out in this in between place. The way I first found this is I was sitting in nothingness, and every time I'd sit in nothingness for long enough, I'd end up in this like weird space. And eventually I did that enough times where I was like, the weird space is where I'm meant to go. That's 8. And I was like, oh, that's what they mean. But it took me a while to like hang out with the like in between thoughts space to realize that that's what 8 was. So I'm gonna check in with Julian. Let's see, how are you finding 8?
It's kind of like a non-question. I'm not quite. What I mean is that the answer is quite imprecise.
Right. It's almost sounds like the experience of 8 is your answer to the question, how are you finding 8, is an experience of 8. I don't know if I'm finding 8.
I mean, it's clear that, yeah, I mean, it's I mean, I know I'm responding to you and I'm trying to be as honest as I can. So it's almost like the it's not uncanny. It's just not a distinction. It's the in between point between two distinctions, and I don't know how you make a distinction of that.
Right. So I'm noticing for you here, there's a little bit of confusion as well. So in order to like really hang out in 8, you're gonna have to move towards the confusion. So be a bit more confused and hang out with the confusion thing, and then the confusion will quieten down and the quality of 8 will hopefully get a little bit louder.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Right, so there's this like fuzz. You know, my visual field is a little fuzzy. I'm looking at the like this nice yellow square that is Julian, and it's like, I know that it's yellow, but also I know my visual field is reporting like all like little bits of other colors in there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can, the attention can land on it, like it can be, it's there. I think I need to get comfortable with it because I think I like to divide and be where I know what's happening.
Right. There is a real skill in being able to be with the unknown, and as well, some people like they like the known. I had this myself. I really liked the known. I was a scientist. I was logical. I was like, this is what I know. I want to stay here. And then I was like, wait a second. I'm a scientist. I don't want to stay here. I want to go where I don't know, the space that's like over here, because that's where cool shit happens. That's where new scientific discoveries happen, rather than like what I already know. Like that's just a knowledge hoarder. I actually need to like let go and hang out in the like what? I don't get it. You know, that's where new discoveries will be. And so I had to like be willing to go to the unknown, and you know the unknown has a quality of scary, and the unknown has a quality of confusion, and the unknown has all of these qualities of weird and strange, and having to learn to be able to be with it in order to see what's there and meet it. It's also a place where patterns come out of. So I'll see the noise, and then from the noise, like some intuition will come forward to me. So if I look at people, said this in the last one, so I'll say it here. To like notice the auras around people, I need to be willing to hang out at 8 and look at them and see the like space around their body or around their head that forms, and like let my mind like pass some information in. And I'm not claiming anything magical or mysterious, but there seems to be some form of information that I can get from looking at people and like trying to learn what an aura is or what's going on in the space around them. But I need to be comfortable in 8 before I could do that. Gonna check
Yeah,
in.
this feels like
Go ahead.
just if you agree, it feels like more like a heart. But yeah, go ahead. That was just something that felt relevant.
As in the quality of 8 feels like a heart?
No, more like it's a center point that stuff comes out of that is unknown and can't be discerned, but it's there. So like to lay claim to the process unfolding is like kind of ignorant, but this is sort of like where they actually come to it in a way.
Right, so 8th jhana is sort of the last place before cessation. It's the like substrate underneath everything else that other things seem to sit on top of.
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, yeah.
You know, I sort of at one point or another I sort of realized like a blank canvas, like a white canvas, isn't the true ground. Like what we should do is we should make like random colored canvases, because that's more like the like if you're gonna create out of nothing, you really, well, you don't want to create out of nothing. You want to create out of the like the fuzz underneath the nothing, and then like somehow we paint the canvas white rather than painting the canvas gray or fuzz, and then trying to like discern the shape of what should go on the canvas from the fuzz. Anyway, that's a side note on the blank canvas. Gonna check in with Lucy.
So the closest I can get on this is, so if I try to not think about anything, like clear my mind completely, it'll quiet down for like a second or two. And during that, if I try to observe what I'm thinking during that time, it's almost like there's this foam of like half-formed thoughts that aren't really full thoughts. It almost reminds me of like when you're trying to fall asleep and your mind will go into that like illogical space, where you're thinking things, but if you come out of it and try to make sense of them or even put them into words at all, it's like just impossible. It's kind of like that, but quieter. I don't know if it's like that at all.
Yep. You will find that is exactly what it's like. Once you start getting used to it, you start being able to discern it, to be able to stay with it. Definitely, this is like some weird in-between space. Have you ever tried choiceless awareness?
I have.
Right. So if you turn into like choicelessness, so people usually when they concentrate they turn up the effort. If instead you turn down the effort, you can go into like a fuzz space. That is, there's less thoughts because it all goes a bit blurry, and you can maintain that awareness. That might help you to have less going on, and then you can see the fuzz a bit clearer. But yeah, and then you can meet it. Like I keep saying, spend a couple hours in each of them, and you'll get to know it, and then you can be way more comfortable. It's amazing how many other people I meet are just a little bit uncomfortable with what's going on in their minds. I have this habit of when I meet people for the first time, I often do nothing. I say nothing. I like just wait, and many people have the like this urgent sense of awkwardness, like they have to fill the space or they have to go somewhere, and that's like I get to meet what everyone is like because they can't just be. They have to like, let me, and who are you and what do you do, and oh hi, nice to meet you. Like they just have to really fill the space with something, and there's a meeting of something that comes from them because they can't just be in the like in between space as much as I can. So as you get more comfortable in it, you can just get more benefit out of the world. It's also a very courageous thing to be able to demonstrate comfort with the in-between unknown space that when other people can't. It makes you a great leader. Gonna check in with Josine. See how you're going over there.
You sort of lost me after the 7th. Oh, yes, yeah. Like 7, 8, 9. I think I need a bit more time to play around with it.
Sure. I mean, I recognize my descriptions of these ones are not nearly as good as my earlier ones. and that's probably related to how much time I've spent in them as well, in trying to work out how to point to them and trying to get used to them myself. Keep playing around. Like I said, some of these I learned because I sat in one, and then the next one comes along, and I'm like, what is this? Where am I going? And then eventually I was like, oh, this is the next jhana. So yeah, play around with it. You'll learn. Obviously, so after 8th there is 9th, which is often not called a jhana, it's called cessation. Cessation is... I am terrible at pointing at cessation because for a few reasons. One is I'm still not sure whether I got it, and the other is it's so unremarkable that you miss it. Cessation is often described as known by its absence. So you will be meditating, and you'll go through the murk, as called by Daniel Ingram, the like fuzzy space of like, you'll be meditating and like trying a thing and trying a thing and trying a thing, and then things will get a bit vague, and then like things will just like snap back, and you'll be like, what was that? And in theory that was the moment of cessation followed by like the snap back. So cessation is the thing that you kind of meet by its absence, or meet by the missing gap in experience. I have a book by Doug Kraft, and it's called The Buddha's Map, and he talks about a violent cessation and more of a gentle one. So in that book there's the practice of 6 R's. So gonna get this wrong: rest, recognize, relax, reset, re-smile, and I forget the other 2. But essentially your practice is to like be chill and be comfortable, and then from that floaty comfortable space a cessation will happen there, as opposed to the more violent style of mental noting, and then like suddenly snap back. The soft cessation is more of the positive one that we're looking for. But again, I'm not so good at pointing it because I don't really know it well enough. But I have a sense that cessation is the stopping of something. So I don't know what's buzzing at me. So I have a thought, and then my attention moves, and there's a new sensation. Gonna just see if I can get rid of that. I don't think I can because we're on Discord, unfortunately. So at the end of that thought, or when the thought leaves, it sort of like ceases. It's no longer there. So just like nothingness in the unremarkable sense of nothingness, there are small cessations happening all the time. The like big, cool, unknown cessation is the cessation of the entire mind and known experience of consciousness. So that one's harder to point to because obviously you don't remember it because everything ended. But the smaller cessations of the thought but then it ends, maybe you can notice those. You can do a meditation that is, if you note the end of things, so the end of sensations or the end of experience, or every time a new sensation comes in, a previous one has left. So as you note what has left, you do that for about 10 or 15 minutes. Sometimes you can like snap into a cessation and surprise yourself and be quite confused. But that one I can't point to in short notice. So that's all I got about cessation. If you have any questions or comments about that, I welcome them, but I can't really point you there as well. Julian, any comments, questions?
Not at the moment.
Cool. Lucy?
That suggestion of trying the notice when the sensations have gone sounds interesting. I'll try that.
Cool. Josine?
I feel like the equanimities maybe just because that when you're trying to go beyond go to the nothingness, you feel really uncomfortable, so you sort of drop back to your like state, and it's like, oh, this is actually much more comfortable here. But yeah, thank you for everything. Actually, that was quite interesting. I'll make sure to give it a try throughout the week.
Yeah, by all means, play around with them. I said earlier, I'm not sure if you heard, don't make epistemic claims about how magical you are because you have jhana, or because you've experienced jhana, or because you know something other people don't, or the world is, or the universe is something or other because these jhana told me so. These are a quality of the mind. Learn them, hang out with them. Don't jump to any conclusions about them. Just like, it could be easy to be like, this person is psychologically tormenting me because I meet a memory of them in my sixth jhana. Like, none of that. Don't do that. Just like, this is a phenomena we get to meet as well. No claims about what it means. But yeah, thanks for coming, and thanks for hanging out. I'm gonna, this is recorded. I'm gonna hit stop on the recording.